Hello and welcome back to eCabinets Tips and Tricks. This is part 2 of placing a sink in a cabinet for presentation purposes. As I promised, I'm going to show you how I was able to just simply click on this cabinet and take it into cabinet editor and apply the sink. Now this is to some degree a little bit time consuming, but to be honest with you, it's a one-time deal. Um, You only have to do it one time per sink style, but after you get it done, it's just a few clicks of the mouse and you're done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in just a sink base right here into my cabinet editor. As you notice, I didn't bring the actual cabinet from custom layout because what we're going to want to do is after we get our sink installed on this cabinet like we want it, we're going to want to delete this cabinet and then just save the sink. If you bring it from custom layout, it won't allow you to delete the cabinet. So with that being said, first thing I'm going to do is I need to put basically a display cube on the top of this sink for a reference point, the thickness of the countertop that we'll be using, which is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to create a display cube. Right here I've already got it dimensions in. I just got it 12 inches wide, 1.5 inches high, 4 inches deep, and I'm going to create the cube. It doesn't really matter what texture as long as it's the same thickness as your countertop. So I'm going to just move this up in 4-inch increments until it's to the top of the cabinet, or to the where I can see it here. And I'm going to use my align tool to align it. And if you remember from previous videos, when you're using the align tool, the first object you click on is the object that stays stationary. The second object is the one that moves. The red dot moves. So I'm going to click on the bottom corner of that display cube, and I'm just going to simply click align to 0. And now we have our reference block, if you will, for our sink. Now I'm going to bring our sink in right here, this sink right here. And I'm doing this from scratch just so you can see. As you can see, the sink's in the cabinet, but it's not rotated properly. Now I'm going to do the same thing to it. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to get it up above the cabinet so I can rotate it. I'm just holding down my shift key and hit my up arrow, and it's moving in 4-inch increments there. And whenever you bring something like this into cabinet editor, it's usually centered on the origin. So the cabinet's centered on the origin, the sink's centered on the origin, so therefore it should be centered on the cabinet. So now I'm going to rotate this. Right click and rotate item. And I'm going to rotate it in the X direction, I believe. Yep, 270 degrees. And OK. Now if I hit escape, you can see that it is already pretty close, but not the height that we want it. So I'm going to zoom in here. Now you could use the align keys or the align tool to align this and get it even closer, but I've found that let me hit home here. I've found that if you click on this, there are all kinds of nodes. If you hit Control M, there's just a bunch of nodes. These nodes right here close to my arrow are probably the most accurate or closest to the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to position this cabinet where I can see relatively good. And I'm going to set my move increment for 1/32. Hit enter and hold my shift key down. Didn't have my shift key held down. Use my down arrow key to move this thing down. Until I get it close here. Let's go to the left here. Get the left side. My computer is very slow today. So now I can zoom in maybe. And down arrow key, down arrow key. Let it get caught up. And let's see what that looks like when we get off of it. Get it unhighlighted. It still needs to go down a little bit, it looks like. Yeah. We're getting there though. That might be. I need to go down some more, so click on it again. Down, down, down. Till we know we're below it, and then go back up maybe. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time to get this set up, but we got it now. So we'll go home and look at the top. You can see that we're pretty well centered. We may want to move it forward a little bit. So I'm going to highlight it. And this time, since we're in overhead view, I should be able to hit my down arrow key and move it. I can increase the move increments if I wanted. That looks pretty close right there. Okay, so now we got that situated. Now we need to get our faucet on here. So let's come in here and find a faucet. Let's see. Let's use this. Let's just use this faucet right here. Wide base 1. Now when it comes in here, you're not going to be able to see it at all because it's down inside the cabinet. So I'm going to click on these 2 doors here and hide them. So now I can select this faucet and let's go up 12 inches. Make this move a little bit quicker here. Alright, so now we need to rotate that. Let's go to the left here. I'm going to right click, and as long as it's highlighted I can rotate item. I'm going to go on to X 270 also. Okay, so now let's go back to the top view and let's work on getting that. As you can see, this is pretty much already centered for us, so let's move this in 1-inch increments this time. That looks pretty close. Let's move it just forward just a little bit. First let's go to the left view here and rotate it just a tad. Rotate the cabinet so we can get it. Okay, now we need to, I'm going to hit escape because I got my cabinet highlighted. Click on the faucet. And let's go down in 1/16 increments. Hit enter. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Computer's not behaving today. It's still a little high, so let's go down some more. Like I said, you could use your line tool. That works just as good, but sometimes these things have got nodes on them that are hard to get a hold of. Oh, come on now. Let's go down 1/16 till we know. Okay, that looks like that's pretty good. Alright, now we need to move it forward just a little bit, so let's get it somewhere along right in there. Let's go to the top view and see how we look. Hit escape, and that looks pretty good. Now we've got our everything on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my display cube here, and I'm going to, let's see, click on my display cube and double click on my cabinet. The first thing you might want to do, well, we're going to do it like this. Double click, and we want to delete that. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete it. So now we can just go home, and there we have our sink. And I'm going to click on this and this, and as you notice, I've got the faucet separate, and that's so that you can switch the faucets out if you want to, or whatever, but that's entirely up to you. At this point right now, you could go to File and Export Selection, and then take it into your part editor, display part editor, modify the textures and the gloss and all that, and save it, and then it will save the faucet and the sink all as one part. I'll show that to you in another video, but for now let's just click on this sink here and click on this faucet, and we're going to save this. And as you notice, it only offers you one choice: save it as an assembly. Okay, now you can save it in your assemblies, whatever, wherever you want. I'm going to save it in this case. I have my display cubes, and I've got a folder here called sinks, and I'm just going to name this my sink and I'm just going to type demo. You can name it whatever you want. And I'm going to click save. And now we're done, and now we can click on this and we can delete it. or you could just back out. Either way, we're going to return to our room, and currently I already have the sink in here, so, and as you've seen in the last video, but I'm going to take it back into Cabinet Editor, and I'm just going to remove this sink and delete it. And I don't have to return to main. I can grab this sink right now that we just got done with, and my sink demo. And as you can see, put it in, and now it is centered up in the cabinet. If you wanted to move it forward a little bit, you could. It's just as simple as highlighting the sink and the faucet and moving it forward, left, right, or whatever. So let's return this to the room and save the changes. Oh, bad deal. You know what? I forgot to associate it. So let's go back in here, bring it back in. Go to the top view. So I can get a hold of everything. I want to click on that, double click on the cabinet, right click, associations, associate the cabinet, and now return to your room. And there you have it. There's your sink. As you can see, I probably got it a little bit too low. And you'll find out that you'll have to play with this a little bit, but once you get it right, it's there, it's right. So as you can see, the countertop's bleeding through a little bit. So what I need to do is I need to go back into edit, I need to delete the sink, yes, delete the faucet, return back to custom layout, okay, and come back into cabinet editor and bring in my sink. My sink demo. Now you notice I don't have the cabinet on here because I know I just want to move it up about maybe a 1/16. So I already got my move increments. I've got my faucet highlighted and my sink selected, both of them selected, and I'm just going to move it up heck, let's go 1/32. Okay, it all moved up to 32nd. Now I can save it again. We're done. Back out of it. Back in here. Edit. Bring my assembly back in here. My sink demo. This time I'm going to remember to associate this sink and faucet to the cabinet. Come on now, click on it. Double click this cabinet and associate to cabinet. And you can return to the room. Yes, I'm going to keep the changes, and that is much better. And like I said, you know, you have to tweak this thing. Once you get it right like you want it. It is very quick and easy to put this in any cabinet in custom layout. So let's go render, and let's adjust this a little bit, see what we got, just to see how. I mean, obviously that looks pretty good. It's not like an inch too high or anything crazy like that. So, presentation view. And there's the sink in the cabinet in custom layout. Even though it did take a little bit longer to get the sink in the cabinet than it did in the first video doing it manually, if you could just imagine if you wanted to do this on every job and you had to do it manually, it could take quite a bit longer. As in this case, let me just bring in another sink base in here. Go to cabinets, and then another sink base. Put it in here. Take it to edit. Assemblies here. And sink demo. And select come on now, select it. There we go. Double click and associate to cabinet. Back to custom layout. Yes. Pretty quick. Right there it is. So I hope this helps. In another video I will show you how to put this faucet on that sink and save it all as one unit. And also another trick to make this even quicker would be to take you a cabinet, put the sink in the cabinet, and then save the sink and the cabinet all as one, so that whenever you bring it in custom layout, the sink is already in it. Period. I mean, that's even quicker than this method. But if you wanted to change the sink out, you would have to go back into cabinet editor, delete the sink, put you another one in it. But I hope this helped. Please post any comments or questions or anything that you might want to see in the future. Thank you for watching and have a good day.